You know, when I first came to this job 10 years ago, we started talking about Easton as being a hub. Of course, it already was a hub, but people weren't talking about it, I don't think, as much as they are now. And certainly the hospital has been a big anchor. But when you look at the professional services, the retail, the restaurants, the cultural facilities that have all continued to grow and prosper, for a 25-mile radius, it really does focus a lot of the economy in Easton and in Talbot County, and we benefit from that. We're a net importer of about 1,000 jobs a day as a result of all that activity.
What does that mean, Sarah?
It means that we have a workforce of people who reside here and work. They don't all work here, but because they live here, we get to count their income tax.
Oh, I see.
And that fluctuates between 18,500 and 20,000 people, depending on some of it's seasonal, some of it's when, employment's up or down. And then we know that an additional 1,000 people are coming into the workforce to work because of the numbers that are reported by the jobs. Now, we have people who live here and work elsewhere, and they are paying the taxes, the income tax, based on where they live.
Are we netting out of this whole process, you
We're
think?
netting up in Talbot County. That's correct. But it's a base that you have to constantly monitor and keep up with, because if you can get to a company before they make that decision to close their doors, sometimes there are some resources or some networking that can happen that can help them to be retained. But our service sector is also very strong, and that's a surprise that we have such a strong professional services sector in our economy. That means accountants, business planners, lawyers, financial advisors, and they're here, of course, because there is a pocket of wealth in Talbot County, but also I think because we are central to the mid-shore, and so it makes it easy to operate out of this area.
Do you think those
In Talbot County, we tend to lag behind the national trends, and then we're a little slower to pick up. But with this recovery, no one can really get their feet underneath them in terms of exactly what sector or where that growth is going to be. I think we have a really stable economy in Talbot County and the Midshore, and a lot of that's attributed to the stability in agriculture and poultry, transportation. The manufacturing that we have is really good and strong, but we're not sure where future growth is going to be, and so that's the hard part. But we're doing pretty good, and I think that's the real curious thing about the future is we're seeing more of a trend towards local, buying local, making local, and that's so important to our economy because it keeps the money in circulation. And so maybe that's our trend, that we support more homegrown business. You may recall that we were able to bring in Anna Bombasu and have a strategic plan developed about 3 years ago. And the opportunity is to take that plan and to execute it. And when it becomes obsolete or old, then you visit it and you set up new priorities. But I think having a plan is really important, and that's the one thing that I hope we are moving towards is a really concrete plan for what kind of target sectors we'd like to see grow in Talbot County, what kind of resource might we have to put behind that to make that happen, and how will that impact our economic base in terms of jobs, in terms of revenue. Tillman has its own wastewater treatment facility, and so where you have wastewater treatment, you can have development. And the county was just successful in being awarded a working waterfront grant, which allows it to look at, I think it's going to look at Bellevue and Tillman and determine how we can support continued working waterfronts, which are resources that we need to be able to have those watermen go out and come back and make a living there in Tillman. And those kinds of activities, someone would say, well, that's development. Well, yes, it is, but it's been there for a long time. And if we want to preserve that or help that to grow, we need to pay attention to it. It also happens to be attractive on the tourism piece because people like to see working waterfronts, and they like to be able to drive out and see, where food is grown and where it's caught. So So those are initiatives that I think fit well with the land use. We had a couple of really good projects. One was with a local service provider, and they had a very successful investment. And I can't name the company, but they invested about $6 million and are going to create 75 new jobs over the next 5 years. That's quite a coup for a little county like Talbot County. And it was in one of the sectors that we're trying to promote and develop. So that was very exciting. But we have a lot of smaller manufacturers who are doing very well. Companies like Afina Pharma has finally been annexed into the town. They have town water. Yeah. They're a pharmaceutical packaging company. And just down the street from them is Consul. They do digestive products. They've just invested $750,000 in their operation. They're one of the major suppliers to Walmart. And we have others, Salisbury Pewter and Jesco. So these are wonderful employment centers that are, and a lot of the people who have these jobs don't leave them. They're there for long periods of time. They're highly skilled. In the past we've lost a few like Black & Decker and Cadmus, and that workforce has been absorbed. A lot of that absorption came through the hospital, and people changed into the healthcare field at a time when it was growing, and that's also been very good for this county and for us. But I think I'm most proud of the fact that we've not had any real significant loss. We did Orion Safety Products moved about 50, 60 jobs to the Midwest, where they have a sister facility. Mm-hmm. And so that was a disappointment, certainly, but they were unable to really expand where they were. They're doing flares, which is a highly ignitable product, and they just felt as though it was safer and better for them to be in Indianapolis. Hope does come. I think we have been in a holding pattern since the recession, and that it would be nice to see some opportunities for some new business to come in or some local businesses to expand. The town recently annexed the Talbot Commerce Park, which is right behind the Black & Decker building. So that's a tremendous opportunity for those businesses there now to build up their density. Now they can have more people in those buildings because they're going to be on water and sewer. Mm-hmm. So we're expecting some good announcements there.
Oh, good. Okay.
And and then maybe there's a chance to get some teeth into our marketing program a little stronger. We're trying to work with the Midshore as a region. Angela Vizentainer, our Caroline County Economic Development Director, has been very instrumental in bringing in Journal Communications, which has done this regional publication. Oh, and that promotes all of the Upper Shore. And we're all happy when we get a new company on the Eastern Shore because it affects us all. So, not everyone's going to live in the county where the company is. Not everyone's going to shop there. So we're very anxious to work with the other economic development directors to build a bigger base. I want people to know that economic development is it includes everyone. It includes our school system, and we have to pay attention to those kids and try to find room for them to work in our communities. It's also got a lot to do with infrastructure, and it's got a lot to do with buying local. Mm-hmm. And so, if anyone has any questions, I'd recommend that you contact your local economic development director. They can be very helpful in terms of business development or in helping you if you need resources.
Thank you.